Free agency season is almost here, Chiefs Kingdom, and on today's show, I'm going to tell you about a potential target that we could go look after. In fact, I'm going to go 10 of them. There's a lot of guys on the market. Who could the Chiefs sign? Find out on today's Chiefs Report. I appreciate y'all watching. I'm your host, Jace Andrews, and I have to ask you the question before we start going on the show, how is Brett Veach going to play this out? Is he going to be aggressive, or is he going to be safe? Let me know in the comment section what you think Brett Veach, the GM, will do this all season. Although the Chiefs have won 2 in a row, we know they want 3. Type A for aggressive, type S for safe. Let me know down in the comment section. And there may be some news today that makes it a little more aggressive. Ian Rappaport had it saying, salary cap news. The NFL announced that the 2024 salary cap will be $255.4 million per club, with an additional $74 million per club payment for player benefits, which include performance-based pay and benefits for retired players. Total 2024 player costs will be yada, 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 more money. All that basically means you have more money to spend. That's a long-winded term to just say, hey, the cap was extended, it was increased, and now the Chiefs can sign more players that are going to have more money to spend on L'Jarius Sneed and Chris Jones. And potentially, by restructuring a couple contracts, taking some money, you could sign some of these big-name free agents now that you, at first, probably couldn't. So that's why we're going to look at it today, because, honestly, it's a cool topic to talk about. Now, what are the needs of the Kansas City Chiefs heading into 2024? Well, the obvious, wide receiver. That's the need that everybody talks about. Then you got to go defensive line just because you're losing Derek Nottie and Mike Dana potentially. Charles Omenihu is hurt. Tershawn Wharton's a free agent. There's a lot of questions there, and Chris Jones could also leave. So need to make sure you are full there. Quarterback is also a slot where you want to make sure you're covered just in case L'Jarius Sneed does decide to move on. Running back, you have losing your backup running backs, both RB2 and RB3, to free agency. Potentially could sign them back, but who are some guys that can maybe fill their role? And then number 5, just because I feel like it needs to be said again, wide receiver. I'm telling you, that's the focus. That's what Brett Veach needs to do. And honestly, I don't know a team in the league that is going to have a more focused ideology than the Chiefs on wide receiver. Let's talk money for a second before we get into who I think they should sign. Now, right now, the projected cap space is $27.7 million with the additional cap space we have found out about today. Now, that's not that much considering what the Chiefs want to do with the money, but a simple cut of MVS saves you $12 million, and a restructuring of Patrick Mahomes' contract could save you upwards of $30 million. So, guess what? We could potentially get a lot more money, which means this major focus on wide receiver could be a lot easier to work through. With that being said, that's why my first target that we're going to talk about is T. Higgins. Now, he's been a guy that we've mentioned time and time again on the show, and that's why he's number 1. He's a young guy. You're stealing him from a rival in a way. Obviously, at this point, I don't know who's not a rival of the Chiefs, but that's just the way we see it. And he's done pretty well. He's been in the league for 4 seasons, and he has 2 1,000-yard seasons, both those being back-to-back years. And it was with Jamar Chase in those seasons. So we know that this guy can perform at pretty much any level. Now, this year, he had a little bit of a hamstring injury that nagged him throughout the entirety of the season, which is why he ended with just 656 yards. And 5 touchdowns is honestly still good for 12 games. But this guy, ever since his rookie year in 2020, has been a solid receiver. The only problem, the Bengals could use the franchise tag on him, negating his free agency. Now, a couple months ago, that was seen as unlikely. Now, it's seen as that's probably what's going to happen. So we'll have to see if he is even available. But if he is, I think he's the number 1 target for the Chiefs. If he isn't, that probably switches to Mike Evans, the wide receiver from Tampa Bay, who is officially a free agent. He had the whole franchise tag contract negotiation that passed by. Ultimately now, he's looking like he's going to go to free agency no matter what, so you'll have a chance to put an offer out there for him, although right now he's obviously making talks with the Buccaneers. This past season, a stellar receiving year once again. Over 1,000 yards for the 10th straight season. His average was nearing 16, and then 13 touchdowns, which was tied for the first in the league in terms of receiving touchdowns. And I guess what I want to say, this guy's 30 years old, and he continues to put in good years after good years after good years. Texas A&M guy just comes in here and continues to put 1,000-yard receiving like they're nothing. Like I'm telling you, I don't know what this guy's on, but he's an amazing guy that the Chiefs could add, and honestly would bolster the receiving room to the point where I don't think there's anybody else that would be close to favored to win the Super Bowl besides the Chiefs. But, like I mentioned, the running back is a need. So how about we go with number 3 being J.K. Dobbins. Now, this guy was an injury-prone running back. I'll start with that. But here's the thing. Dobbins has a really, really high upside. The injuries are definitely there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say I'm going to be not concerned about that. But at this point, you have Isaiah Pacheco. You're looking for a depth piece. Injuries are going to throw a lot of teams off this guy. So I don't think he's going to cost too much. And if you have a running back combo of J.K. Dobbins and Isaiah Pacheco, man, I like that team. Now, obviously, his stats, again, tormented by injury. Played just one game this year before he tore his Achilles, I believe, this year. He tore his ACL back in 2021. Last year, he had injury problems just playing in that 8 games after the torn ACL. He got to 15 games back in 2020 at the start of his career, but I mean, even in there, it's hard to get a full picture of it because that was his first season. What I do know, though, is he was an absolute beast at Ohio State. And when I say beast, I don't mean that lightly. Over 4,000 yards, nearing 4.5, 6.2 average yards per carry. That is insane. The average is around 4.5 to 5 in the NFL. Obviously, college is a bit different, but still, 6.2. 43 touchdowns in 3 seasons at Ohio State. And this guy has a lot of positives, and I'm going to say it. There's a reason he was a round 2 pick as a running back. He was really supposed to be one of the top running backs in the National Football League as soon as he got out of college. Unfortunately, injuries have hit him. Things have happened. The Ravens do have Lamar Jackson, who is a pseudo running back himself. But this guy's upside is really, really high. Having a torn ACL, having a torn Achilles, he's going to be dropped off the totem pole compared to a lot of other running backs like, say, Saquon Barkley. So I think you could get him. I think it wouldn't be that bad. And honestly, you free up a little bit of cap space, he's not that hard to grab. Would you like the Chiefs to sign J.K. Dobbins? Let me know in the comment section by typing Y for yes or typing N for no. I'm curious to see what you think. I mentioned defensive line as well, so let's get one of those in there. Maurice Hurst, the Browns defensive tackle, he's going into his free agency right now as well. I have him a number 4 spot in terms of what I would like. He's not going to blow you off the board with what his stats have shown. 1.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups, and just 22 tackles. He only played in 13 games, so there's that. But I think the thing that you have to think about is this is not a guy here looking to be an amazing player. You're looking for a depth piece here. That's what you're doing. Your defensive line is losing a lot of people. You're hopefully going to have George Karlaftis. Felix Anudike-Uzomah will hopefully be a starter on the other edge. Chris Jones, if you sign him back, you'll have him at defensive tackle. But you're losing Derek Nottie and Mike Dana in some pictures. Malik Herring's going away. Tershawn Wharton's a free agent. So obviously we saw what Mike Pennell did in the Super Bowl, and I trust him to be in that spot. But I want somebody else there to help him out, to have somebody that will be able to give him a rest. Guess what? Maurice Hurst could do that really simply and honestly put that together well. You know what you can also put together pretty well? Some prize picks. And I'm telling you, baseball season is almost here. So I'm going to show you my MLB season-long picks here in just a minute. But if you don't know how to play, well, it's super easy. You choose 2 or more players, 2 to 6, then you choose more or less on their prize picks projected stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. You can combo your projections across the NBA and NHL right now, and MLB season is almost here, so I'm putting some season-long predictions in. I'm telling you, go put them in now because the season's coming up on a month until it starts, so only a limited amount of time to get these in. Shohei Ohtani signed that big $700 million deal. You better hit 40 if you're signing that much. Good gosh. Juan Soto playing in a Little League park at Yankee Stadium. He's going for 40 home runs, pull the ball all day. Bobby Witt, KC guy, signed a big contract. He's staying with the Royals for his hopefully entire career. I'm going to go with the more on his hits than Adolis Garcia, World Series champ. He likes to pimp home runs. How about you pimp 33 of them for me? Make me some money. You can go put these exact same picks in. I've got a lot on that, so I'm hoping it hits. But Prize Picks is amazing. You can get a $100 deposit match by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS and using the code CLNS for that first deposit match of up to $100. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types. Well, that's what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Once again, prizepicks.com/CLNS and using code CLNS is where you're going to get your first deposit match of up to $100. We'll put that in the links and the comments of today's video. Kristian Fulton is #5, the cornerback from Tennessee that just never panned out. He was a decent round draft pick, and honestly, when I look at Fulton, I looked at what ifs. I mean, this guy had a ton of prowess coming into the league. but he just never worked out. Well, if you unfortunately don't get back L'Jarius Sneed, why not take a risk on this guy? We've seen Brett Veach really know how to scout the cornerback position, and Kristian Fulton has a lot of the intangibles that you like. The problem is, he just never really got up to the level that he was drafted at, that second-round pick back in 2020. It was never there. He had some attitude issues as well, which we've seen some other Chiefs players who's had that as well. So ultimately, there's a lot of positives with this guy, but it is a bit of a risk. I asked this question, though. Who's the most important position, or rather, what is the most important position for the Chiefs to get in free agency? Is it wide receiver? Like I think so. Type WR. Is it cornerback? If you think L'Jarius Sneed's going to go in, type CB. Is it defensive line with so many free agents leaving or potentially leaving? Then type defensive line. Or is it running back with, right now, I'm having Isaiah Pacheco and the Michael Pirine on your roster. If it is running back, then type RB. Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's continue on with number 6 through 10 on my free agent targets. Number 6 is Tyron Smith, the all-pro, amazing offensive tackle from Dallas, who's been in the league for pretty much ever since I'm alive. And honestly, you're replacing a Smith with a Smith, because Donovan Smith is a free agent, and I do not expect him to come back. Ultimately, when you're playing at high-caliber levels, the way that Donovan Smith played was not what you want to see. Tyron Smith, though, well, that's pretty good. 83.3 on the overall PFF grade. His sacks allowed was just 1. Only allowed 1 hit. He has allowed a lot of hurries. But the big thing that Donovan Smith had was penalties along with Juwan Taylor. But guess what? Only 3 for Tyron Smith. So I think this would be a good addition and ultimately help bolster up that offensive line to protect Patrick Mahomes and honestly keep him playing and healthy for as long as humanly possible. That's what I want. Let's go back to the wide receiver well, though, because Michael Pittman is a good option here at number 7. I think he is going to be kind of a sneaky option to a lot of people. And honestly, with the new cap space being added, I think he may be the most likely signing for the Kansas City Chiefs. Had over 1,000 yards this past year, over 100 receptions, averaged just 10 yards a catch, which isn't that terrible. The thing with Pittman, he wasn't scoring a lot of touchdowns with the Indianapolis Colts, which I don't want you to sit here and be like, oh, well, that kind of scares me. I want someone who can score touchdowns. Yeah, okay, but when you have Pacheco, you have Travis Kelce, you have other weapons in the red zone. You don't really need him to be streaking down the sideline like Tyreek Hill every game. That's not what you need. He's a good option. He's going to be decently cheap compared to Mike Evans and T. Higgins. I'm not going to say he's going to be like, easy $10 million, but I'd say a little 11, 12, 14 million maybe get up to 15. But still, with that extra cap space, you have a potential to sign somebody like that caliber. I think he'd be a really good option. Plus, he's playing the AFC. I feel like he knows the opponents pretty well. I like him a lot. This one may surprise you. Well, actually, the next two may surprise you. Noah Fant, the tight end from Seattle. And why I say him? Well, it's because I think the tight end room maybe could use a little bolstering. I love Noah Gray. I love Blake Bell. But ultimately, Fant is good. He's cheap. And the big thing that I like with him, he has starter-level experience. He was the starter for the Broncos back when he played with them a couple of years ago for, I think, 2-3 years. So ultimately, he has the ideology in his head that he could be a starter. He could play in a lot of different facets. Plus, he can block as well. And I love Noah Gray, but I want him to be more of a receiving tight end. I want him to go out there and run. So you could potentially see some 2 tight end sets with this if you get in Noah Fant. I love Bell, the Belldozer package in Oklahoma. Yeah, we haven't used that in Kansas City, but who knows? Maybe the Chiefs will not look at tight end. We'll have to see. I will say, though, you don't have to look anywhere for your Chiefs coverage besides right here on the Chiefs Report. So hit that subscribe button. We're putting out videos every single day of the week. Hit that sub, youtube.com/ChiefsTV, or scroll down, little red subscribe button. Click that. You're going to be locked in for us for the entire offseason. All right. Don't kill me. Drew Lock is my number 9 guy. Now, why I say this? Well, there's a simple reason. I think it's time that we forget about the Blaine Gabberts of this world, the Chad Henneys of this world. Let's stop going for veteran backup QBs. I want somebody younger to back up Mahomes. I think that's the way we should do that. Because ultimately, at this point, Patrick Mahomes is your guy. I'd like somebody with high upside below him. I don't want Blaine Gabbert because that's just okay, we're kind of selling if Mahomes loses and Mahomes hurt. With Drew Lock, this guy played decently well when he was called upon in Seattle this year, having a game-winning drive against the Eagles. I kind of like his upside. He's still decently young out of Mizzou. He's got some swagger. I mean, that works. And he also has played in the AFC West. He was with the Broncos, so I think it'd be kind of funny to bring him in and have him as a backup option. Who knows, though, what the Chiefs will do. Blaine Gabbert is a free agent. I don't know how exactly they're going to go with the backup QB option. I would like it to be a younger guy. We'll have to see, though. The last guy is one that I think is a very underrated one. Geno Stone, the safety from Baltimore. He's my number 10 guy, and he honestly could be higher because he had the second most interceptions in the NFL last year, just behind DaRon Bland. Now, Geno, I'm going to say this. I think nobody really looked at him, but he had a potential to be ranked as one of the highest rated safeties in the entire league. I mean, he was allowing just a 50.8 QB rating when he was thrown out. He only allowed 2 touchdowns, 188 yards. Now, given he's a safety, obviously, these are obviously going to be a little bit lower than like a cornerback, you would think. But still, these numbers are all really good. Plus, the numbers with the pass breakups and the interceptions, those are the one I look at. 9 PBUs and 7 INTs. Yeah, I would like that a lot on my team, especially with the potential cut of Justin Reed. Don't know. We'll have to see. I think Geno Stone could be a good addition, obviously. Do have some good safeties. He wouldn't be that much. I think his market value is around $8 million. We'll have to see. I want you to name a player that the Chiefs could sign. I know there's a lot of people out there. I know I just ranked 10 guys. Maybe I missed somebody. Maybe I didn't. Maybe there's somebody that I completely just botched on in this, and you're like, no, we want this guy instead. Well, here's your time to chime in. Go down there, get in the comment section, and let me know a player that the Kansas City Chiefs should sign before the 2024 season. Free agency season is just a couple weeks away. It'll be here before you know it, and we'll have you covered. Hit that subscribe button. But for now, Chiefs Kingdom, we appreciate you watching, and as always, peace out.